everyone. Thank you, Dr. Arvind Gupta, Ambassador Kamal Sibal, one of our most distinguished foreign secretaries and diplomats, distinguished audience, distinguished delegates. Thank you very much for inviting me today to this dialogue on regional security. I would like to begin by conveying to the participants the greetings and best wishes of the National Security Advisor, Mr. Ajit Doval, who has asked me to convey his high appreciation to the Vivekananda International Foundation, as well as to all the participating countries for taking time out to participate in this first ever meeting of think tanks on security issues. He himself holds great store by the two dialogues that have been held at the level of the National Security Advisors of the BIMSTEC countries. And India believes that this is a new dimension of our cooperation within BIMSTEC, and it is a manifestation of the growing maturity and the growing convergence of views among the member states. As has been rightly said, BIMSTEC has evolved over the years. It began in 1997, which is 21 years ago, and in this period it has held 4 summits, but the process of the evolution has been relatively slow and deliberate. In fact, it took many years before the first summit was convened in 2004. And if you look at the gaps between each summit, they were substantial. There was a gap of 6 years between the first summit and the second summit. And then there was a gap of 4 years. And there was a gap of 6 years between the second and the third summit. But the fourth summit was held within 4 years, which was early this year. It has also taken time for the BIMSTEC to establish its secretariat, and this was done in Dhaka in Bangladesh, and Additional Foreign Secretary Sri Lanka, who's present here today, was director of the secretariat, the first director, and I had the privilege of attending that opening ceremony in Dhaka in 2014. I think it is no secret that BIMSTEC is a coalition of countries which have a lot in common. India itself has common borders with 5 of the member states of BIMSTEC. We have common maritime regions with all the countries of BIMSTEC, and it is geographically very strategically positioned between South and Southeast Asia. The importance of the Bay of Bengal as an economic and a scientific community and region is evident. When the leaders met in 2016 in Goa, they pledged to make BIMSTEC a stronger organization, and they also agreed on an agenda for future action that included issues such as counter-terrorism and transnational crime, disaster management, trade, investment, energy, etc. One of the recommendations of the summit of our leaders was also the meeting of the national security chiefs, which we have done. Today's meeting we regard as an important contribution to the discourse on security among BIMSTEC countries at the level of thinkers and strategic experts. There are many models of cooperation on security issues worldwide. BIMSTEC is uniquely positioned to offer its own model of cooperation, and one of the factors that unites almost all of us in the BIMSTEC is the fact that in one way or the other, all the BIMSTEC member states are victims of terrorism, and we have a common interest in combating this threat to our national security. We look forward to your deliberations to see how we can enhance our cooperation and insulate ourselves from all kinds of threats. That includes terrorism, but it also includes other non-traditional forms of threats to security. Connectivity is another very important dimension of our collective security, and here we need to look at connectivity as a tool to enhance security, as a tool to work with each other. The connectivity dimension need not be and cannot be only physical. It also has to be among people, among organizations, and among security agencies. And the fact is that today, more than ever before, our security agencies need to be much better networked to be able to fight the threats that we face. And as Ambassador Sibal had rightly mentioned, the threat from the social media and the internet is far more lethal than we have appreciated. I think we cannot underestimate the dangers this poses to each of our countries, and it should form an important part of our deliberations. We have also to look at how we can harness the Bay of Bengal for positive, productive activities. Once again, we find that apart from piracy, there are other threats which include illegal migration, trafficking of people, disaster management, drug running, which are all threats which confront us almost on a daily basis, and we need to, in our own unique ways, establish solutions which we can look at to combat such threats. Radicalization of populations through the social media and otherwise is an important threat, and we need to look at that. The fact is that the poison of radicalization and extremism is today able to travel very fast through internet and through the cyber medium, from the new fountainhead that has been created in the world, which is loosely centered around the area of Syria, Iraq, Libya, and it is traveling towards our region. It has already traveled to our region through Afghanistan, and it is posing serious challenges to our security. I think because of the demographic characteristics of the region and the pressure on natural resources, climate change and natural disasters therefore occupy and must occupy an important area of attention. And here again, there can be no solution that we can devise individually. Solutions which have to be sustainable, have to be collective, and I would again draw your attention to this extremely important aspect of contemporary security, which I'm sure members would understand is also a contributing factor, or is a potential contributing factor to migration and people flows. In conclusion, therefore, I would only once again underline the importance that the National Security Council of India attaches to your dialogue, to the fact that you have traveled all the way to Delhi to participate in this dialogue, the first ever such interaction, which we hope and we are confident will add to the discourse and to the body of solutions among the BIMSTEC countries to further enhance our collective cooperation. The one of the great assets of the BIMSTEC organization is that it is evolving in a very steady fashion. There is a growing commonality of approaches, a growing understanding of common threats, and the linkages of the countries within BIMSTEC are both over land and over sea. And therefore, this provides us a very unique opportunity to dovetail our approaches on important issues. And one of those, of course, as I mentioned, is has to be growing connectivity. As Ambassador Sibal also rightly mentioned, in the last few years, for India at least, the maritime domain has become an important area of our attention and of our policy formulation. And you will see increasing attention by India to the maritime domain, largely reflecting the realities of our coastal, of the size of our coastline. And this, I think, is important to understand. It is also a healthy sign that since BIMSTEC was created in 1997, each of our countries has witnessed massive domestic transformation. This is not only economic transformation, but it is also political and social. And it is, would be accurate to say that without any exceptions, BIMSTEC has actually become an engine of growth. If you look at all the member states, whether it is Bangladesh or Sri Lanka or Myanmar or Bhutan or Thailand, all these economies have been growing at a rate which is higher than the global average. And this is, again, a unique asset that we have. And as our economies and our societies get stronger in terms of our economic infrastructure and economic base, it is that much more important for our security professionals to focus on preserving those gains and to share those gains among ourselves. So with these words, I once again wish the conference all success, and we look forward to your deliberations and to your recommendations. Thank you.